What is going on, everyone? We got the old Blarg 240 in the garage today because we have some things that need to be taken care of before we get this thing out for the first drift event, which is coming up really freaking quick here. And we're gonna be traveling a little bit coming up, and I wanna make sure that we got time to go ahead and get everything that needs to be taken care of on this before we hit the track for the first time this year. Number one thing being, we had to do an oil change on this thing because it hasn't been changed since the last event, which was last summer, and then it's sat all winter. So we're gonna get some fresh oil in this thing. We also have this GK Tech skid plate that I bought and I never put on the car. I think I was missing the hardware. I don't know if the hardware just didn't come with it or if it's supposed to use the hardware that's on the car, but as you can imagine, this car doesn't have a lot of its original hardware, so it's just been sitting here, and I would really like to get this thing on because this thing does ride stupid low and we do drive it to the track, so that would just help make sure that nothing bad happens under the car. So we're gonna get that on as well. I didn't, where did I put the other things? Don't mind this mess. I'm missing my table. I left it at Alex's and I gotta organize. Spring cleaning's coming up. We gotta organize. Where in the world? That's very, aha. This. See, it's a mess, but it's a somewhat organized mess. I at least knew where it was. So here we have a little item that I picked up to maybe help out our fender issue, which are just these little fender brace things. Now, I can't remember where I got these from. Hold on. Turn 5 Fabrication is where I picked these up. They're just some easy little fender braces to hopefully fix this little dingle dangle issue we got going on here. This is a bit of a bummer, and as you can see, these fenders have really seen their better days, and hopefully it'll help that front bumper, which is over yonder, fit a little bit better, because when I put the bumper on here, it just wants to like push this back like really far and make it go all wonky, and then I hit it with the freaking so many noises. Stop! And then I hit it with the tire when I turn, and obviously that's not good. So a couple of hopefully simple things to take care of today. So let's go ahead and get this thing up on some ramps so we can actually get a jack under it, so we can get the oil drain, so we can get some fresh oil in this thing. This should be fun. The filter is like right there. Maybe a little hard to see, but it's there. And below it is a bunch of other stuff. And I don't really see a way to do this to not make an absolute mess. So we're probably just gonna make an absolute mess. Okay, yep, there it goes. Yep, okay, all right. Yep, okay. All right, so we got the essential bit done, oil's changed. Now we got to move on to the skid plate. Now this should be pretty straightforward as long as I can find the right size bolts to do what it needs to do. So it should be pretty straightforward. All we got to do is loosen up these radiator supports, and we basically just kind of sandwich it between there. So we take those bolts out, sandwich it in, put the bolts back. That'll be fine. What I'm concerned about and what I don't have is the bolts that kind of go back yonder and kind of like right here. Not there. So hopefully we have something in our little arsenal of spare parts that we can use. All right, so on this middle one, we got should be a 12 mil, yep. And I believe I tried to put this on here before and realized I didn't have all the hardware, so I gave up. Then on the sides, we got two 10 mils. Okay, so I'm actually blind because it is there. It's definitely there. That side, I didn't see one, but this side is right there. Okay, so she took some PB Blaster to get off, but dude, this thing is in rough freaking shape. Look at that. Look at how flattened down that is. Maybe we can find something that is along this size that we can replace it with. So I was able to find 2 bolts of the same size and thread pitch, which was perfect. They're actually a little bit longer, which is actually gonna work good because we're gonna have this to go through, which obviously wasn't on there before. Plus the way things are kind of like dinged up and bent up under here, having a little bit of a longer bolt should help just to, you know, give some extra clearance. So my friggin' mic died like halfway through that installation, and it seems like I just can't keep away from audio issues like every friggin' video. So I apologize, and I probably just ended up having to like voice that over, but the skid plate is on, and it looks really good, and I'm happy it's on there because, as you can imagine, it's protecting some very important stuff like the oil pan and like kicking stuff up into the pulleys and all that sort of stuff. So it's like the one piece of protection from just everything flying up into the engine bay. So glad that we were finally able to get that on. So the next thing are gonna be these fender braces from Turn 5 Fabrication. Now these should be pretty straightforward. They should just kind of go like there. Looks like to be the best spot. Let's find a bolt for that. And then attach, I would imagine, to this guy right here. Now there is a bolt here, not one over there. It seems like all the hardware is on this side for some reason and not that side. But as you can imagine, this thing is being a pain in the butt to get out. I cannot get it out. So we hit it with some PB Blaster. Now I'm about to hit it with some Persuasion. Holy shit. Like it's not even holding anything. It's just literally on there to be on there. I don't know what's happening. All I know is that it's not loosening. All right, I'm done asking. Okay, that worked, I guess. Okay, real talk though, this little like $12 hardware kit from like O'Reilly's has saved my life because these are literally perfect for what I need to go in right there. It's perfect. It's nice that it utilizes factory spots here, like it's already threaded. You don't have to tap anything. Works good. Simple, yet effective. It's exactly what I needed to do. Now we don't have these flopping all over the frickin' place. This side was actually worse. And now, it's solid. Like, there's no wobbly wobble. All right, the real question is now is this, oh God, going to fit? I'm hitting everything. Trying not to hit the RX-8. Trying not to hit the RX-8. Is this going to fit remotely better now? Right, let's get this up on our little homemade bracket here. If anyone knows where to find the like upper bumper bracket for a frickin' S13, please let me know. Definitely looks a little better, maybe? And then I did really just run 3 up here because this thing's probably gonna fly off in the first lap anyway. So, you know, what's the point of making these flush when you make them sharp, pointy weapons? And I totally just realized that I'm probably going to rip it off coming off of these ramps because I don't know if I've ever had the car up on ramps with the bumper actually on. So that might have all been for nothing, but we'll find out. Let's go! They're a little snug, but we made it. God. So it didn't fix the whole front bumper issue as much as I'd hoped. It just seems to be like a little droopy in the front. And it could very well be that I just don't have like all of the right hardware, especially like that upper bracket to kind of just hold everything. Plus, I have heard that these KBD bumpers really work better with like a bash bar in the front, so definitely something that might be able to help us out. But I am super stoked on how much more solid those fenders are, and it just keeps everything from moving around a little bit. And we still rub just slightly on the turn, and again, it could just be the fitment of this bumper. It could just be because the fenders are just so absolutely cheeched. Who knows? But it is definitely a lot better. So the good news is we actually finished everything we set out to do in one night, and we didn't really run into any hiccups, which is kind of unheard of. And everything went pretty much okay, which I'm grateful for. It's just a little bit odd. Doesn't really happen that often. However, we are far from done with getting this thing prepped and ready for the first drift event of the year. We actually have a little bit more to do. Plus, we hopefully, before the event, have some new suspension to put in this thing, which I'm super stoked for because the coilovers that are in this car are old, they're beat up, they don't really do a whole lot in the sense of like, they're in there and they have some springs on them, and I think that's really about it. So, really excited for the new suspension to get here, and hopefully it will get here before the first drift event. But other than that, we got to swap the coolant out for water because the track rules say that you have to have water instead of coolant. And outside, the temperature is like 20 degrees at night and sometimes 60 degrees in the day, and maybe sometimes even more. So it's that weird kind of intermediate spot in Wisconsin, so we can't really just throw water in here because if it freezes overnight and it's sitting in the garage over there, which isn't heated, nice like this one, you run into some big issues when water freezes inside your engine. So we're gonna keep coolant in there as long as we possibly can so we don't run into any of that. So if you wanna follow along with all of that process, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and then leave a comment down below. I read every single one of them and I try to reply to as many as I can. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you tuned into the next one. Y'all have a good one. Peace.